assumption that Black people have to be respectable to be saved by whiteness. And I think that's one of the things that we're hearing with the example that Desmond gave. Everyone deserves the right to humanity, and we're not necessarily seeing that. And we can't outclass racism, as Derek has said. And so part of this we actually have to deal with is, I think from a theoretical standpoint, we have to treat race as a verb rather than a noun. Race does something to everybody, including white people. And so on one hand, we're talking about policing, but we're also talking about civilian brutality, that every single day, Black people walk down the street, go in their dorm room, try to swim in a pool where they're paying HOA fees at, walk into a store and try to make a purchase. And our bodies are continuously criminalized in spaces where we should be safe and where we shouldn't have to worry about those sort of things. Also think about this combination with COVID. There's a study that just came out a couple of days ago showing that Black people were 6 times more likely than whites to be turned away at hospitals seeking testing and treatment. I mean, that's primarily about the ways that Black bodies are devalued, but it also highlights the power of demographic data. See, the data that we talked about policing earlier, we only have available in 16 states. So we know how many people are catch the flu every year. We don't know how many people have coronavirus right now, but typically we know how many people get the flu. We also know how many people get killed by jellyfish every year, but we don't know how many people the police kill. That's a problem, but it's also a purposeful problem that we have to do something about. So from a policy standpoint, we need the data. Data are powerful. Part of thinking about this devaluation is also thinking about Black people trying to get testing and treatment in their neighborhoods. And I think when we think about where this comes from, I interviewed Hakeem Jeffries during Black History Month at Brookings. And he said that America has a genetic birth defect when it comes to race. And part of that genetic birth defect manifests in structural locations and structural conditions that lead to exposing Black people to risk. And I think it highlights a study that I did on physical activity. I did a large study of middle-class Blacks and whites who all had college degrees, all had professional jobs. I was curious about the ways they were engaging in physical activity. Part of what I discovered, of course, is the links between race and place, but it's how that played out. I found that Black men versus all other groups were less likely to engage in physical activity in predominantly white neighborhoods, the same types of neighborhoods where Ahmaud was running in, the same types of neighborhoods where Jonathan Ferrell tried to seek help in. And part of that playing out is 2 things. First, I found that Black men go through what we call a signaling process. So Black people, Black men in particular are trying to cope to survive. Middle-class Black men do things like wear an alumni t-shirt when they go for a run. They run in well-lit areas. They smile and wave at their neighbors. They always carry ID on them. Things that when you're going for a jog, you don't do unless you are literally trying to survive that jog. So while Black people are trying to go out, and Black men in particular, are engaging in behaviors that's supposed to extend life, we actually see how those same behaviors might actually truncate life. And so I've been writing a lot about this in the conversation. I've talked to NPR about it, and it highlights a collective memory that Black men have. It leads to a higher level of stress. It leads to our allostatic load being out of whack, where we can continuously deal with this stress, but on the insides, we are literally dying a slow death that leads to us having a higher exposure to these pre-existing health conditions that leads to us being more likely to die from COVID-19.
Those are all really exceptional. You really packed that in.